So there we go. So very much welcome to you all. Thank you for joining today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jan Smits. I'm owner of Pescan, and I do some of the webinars and other webinars are done by my colleagues. It's great to have you here today. So I want to focus today on the new planning tools, and you may or you may not be using the planning tools in Pescan yet, the old ones, and perhaps you have not even seen the new planning tools that we have created. Let me first of all say that the new planning tools are quite different from the old tools. So we have made a lot of changes, and a few of the new features maybe may present you with a bit of a learning curve. So there are a few new things to learn. And for that reason, we are organizing these webinars. And we also have a short video of about 10 minutes showing to you what is new in the new planning tools. Now, we have already heard from some of our customers that they are very happy with the old planning tools, and that the old planning tools give you some features that you don't see in the new planning tools. For this reason, we are keeping the planning tools in place for a little while. So we won't remove the old planning tools. We will only remove them when we are confident that all of you, all of our customers, are happy with the new planning tools. And only then will we stop with the old planning tools, and we will inform you ahead of time. So you will not get any surprises here if you get our emails. If for some reason you think you don't get our newsletters that we write every so many months, please let us know. So today, feel free to ask any questions. You can do that in the chat if they are not very urgent. If they are urgent, or you think you should not wait asking the question or getting an answer, you can turn on your microphone and ask your question. Apart from the time that you ask a question, please leave your microphone in muted stage, leave it out, so we don't get disturbed by noises singing around. Okay, the first thing about the planning tools is that both for the old planning tools and for the new planning tools, you need an extra license. So maybe some of you don't have the extra license for the planning tools. You can find out in the when you go to your account circle in the right top of the program, you can click it, the pop-up comes up. I will show you in a minute, and you can go to my license or our license, and you should check if the planning tools have been enabled for your account. If not, you can request the planning tools from us. You can pay the extra license, or if you want to try it out first for free for a month, you can ask us to do so. Please write to support, and we can enable this for you. Okay, I want to share my screen now so I can show you and demonstrate you what I'm explaining, so it will be a bit more visual and you don't have to create this picture in your mind. So there we go. Let me juggle my screens. Please give me a minute. So you should now be able to see the Pescan program in the screen. If you don't see it, please leave a message in the chat box that you can find in Zoom, in the, well, depending on whether you have a phone or the desktop version, you can find the chat function of Zoom. So let me first show you where you can find your license. So you go to the account circle here in the right top corner, and you go to our license here. And here you can find your enabled features. So here is the planning feature. So if you have a French version, it will say planification. If you have the German version, it will say Planung. We have a Finnish guest. I don't have a clue what it's called in Finnish. I'm sorry for that. I don't know more Finnish than Uksi Kaksi Kolmen. So let me show you briefly the previous planning tools that we had. I will now go to a customer called Test Customer. So this is in our test environment. So in this customer, there are 3 different locations here, 1, 2, and 3. I will go to location 1. and then I go to planning. So the last button from the right, second last button from the right. So this is the old place, the tab page where you add your planning data. So this is where you had to enter the place where the number of visits per year. I'm just checking in case I miss it, whether any new people are in the waiting room. I don't think so, but I want to make sure that we're not missing anybody. No, doesn't seem so. Okay, so I'll continue. So this is where you could fill out how many visits per year and the time to spend per visit. So for example, 12 visits of 60 minutes, the technician that was going to do it, and the time frame between 1st of January and the 31st of December, for example. And the preferred visit day would be a Wednesday, for example. So on my computer, the days are in Dutch, in my language. In your environment, it will be in your language, because this is picked up from your browser settings. So you have to bear with me that it's in Dutch today here. Okay, after creating these settings, you could then create the planning here for the current year, or for the next year, or until the end of the contract. Now, there were some serious limitations here. For example, if for this customer location you had 12 visits a year for mouse inspections, this would work. These tools would be good enough. But if you also wanted to pay them 4 visits per year for, let's say, inspection of fly lamps, you couldn't do it. You had to change the data here, set it to 4. Inspections of fly lamps, maybe that would not take 60 minutes, but 30 minutes. And you had to change the data here and save it. But now your mouse inspection data is gone. You cannot save both. So it's either 12 mouse inspections or 4 fly lamp inspections. You couldn't have both. There was a limitation of 1 contract type per visit site. There was a serious limitation. That's number 1, the disadvantage of our old planning tools. The second disadvantage is, let's say you had 12 visits here, it was very difficult to know with these planning tools when in the month your visit would be. Perhaps you expect it to be in the middle of the month, but what is the middle of the month? Is it a Monday or a Tuesday? Okay, here it says Wednesday, so that's fair enough. But let's say you had 8 visits per year. What Wednesday would it be? The first Wednesday of January or the second Wednesday of January? It was very difficult to know. And we had this mysterious setting offset that you had to use. We would be telling you that you had to use this setting. But let me be very honest about it. For most of our customers, this was a very difficult setting to understand. And also, for almost all my colleagues, it was very difficult to understand. And even I had a difficult time to make it very clear to people what it meant. In short, this was too difficult. And if it's too difficult, it's not good. It's not a good feature of our program. So this is a second reason we wanted to change our settings here, our planning settings. So we have changed that. So in the new planning tools, and I'm going to show that to you in a minute, you can, number 1, you can create several contracts per visit location. So 12 visits for mice inspections, 4 inspections for fly lamps, and maybe 1 general audit per year. Secondly, you can now define the dates when your visits should take place with exact precision. For example, the first Wednesday of each month, and then maybe 2 months between each visit. So you have now very precise control, and it's also very understandable. So beforehand, you can predict with certainty when your visits will take place. It will be much easier to make sure that all visits for one route that your technician is driving will take place on the same day. That's convenient, isn't it? If a technician is going to the east, it will be very practical if all visits in the East are on the same day, because he is going there. Before we created these new planning tools, we had a very close look to Outlook and to Windows Calendar, because we want to make it as easy as possible for you to understand the new planning tools. And it's already complicated. Planning is always a little bit complicated. So to make it easier for you, we had a very close look at Outlook, Microsoft Outlook and Windows Calendar, to see how you can create recurring appointments, a recurring appointment that comes back every month or every year or every quarter. So in the same way, we have tried to make it in Pescam. Before I continue my demonstration, there's one thing I would like to say to you, and that is that we are not satisfied yet. So we have created new planning tools, but we already see some room for improvement. And from some of our first users, we also get very valuable feedback how we can even make it better. So I also want to invite you today, if you have any suggestions, please let us know. And one of you that is visiting today in the webinar already said they are missing the plan until end of contract date. So thank you for this feedback. We have put it on our list, so in the next version, we will add it in the next version. There's a new version in a few weeks, but it will be a little bit later. We need time to create it. Okay, the demonstration. So are there any questions now? Please feel free to type them in the chat. And after every block of explanation, I will have a look at the chat. If there are any questions, I will try to answer them. So I will now give a demonstration. What I will do is I will first show you planning that has been created already. Then I will show you how you can create planning, well, contracts, maybe I should call them now, how we can create them. I want to do it to demonstrate how I can create them. And then I want to show you how you can turn these defined plannings into actual work orders in your calendar. Let me first go to one of the test customers. I will go to this one. Here's a customer called London Foods. I open the customer and I don't go to the planning button here, but I go to the second button in the row called contract. There's a funny bug. You have to type something in contract details here. That's another thing we want to fix. Otherwise, you cannot save any of the planning data. And now you have to go to the services, the second tab page. So what you could call contracts, we call them services. So for every visit site, every visit location, you can create one or several services. What is a service? A service is a set of visits. For example, a service could be a mouse inspection every 6 weeks. Okay, so every 6 weeks, you want to go to this customer's site, because a customer can have more than one site. You want to go to this site every 6 weeks to do mouse inspections. So let me open it. You see, you can expand it or collapse it. So you give it a name, for example, mouse inspection. You give it a root code, like before, because you want to combine this visit with other visits to other customers. You give it a task description that will show up for your technician so they know what to do. The visit type, so this is pretty similar to the old situation, to the old world, the default technician. The visit time is very important because maybe you will have other visits on the same day that are slightly later. And the duration of the visit, 60 minutes. So this is the general data for the service, as we call it. The next thing is the recurrence. The recurrence is the interval between each visit. As I said before, in Outlook or in Windows Calendar, you can create a visit or a birthday that will come back every 2 months or every year. In this case, every 6 weeks. So let's say you want to do a mouse inspection every 6 weeks. So you give it a name. This is free text. You can type whatever you like. And here you choose weekly, a weekly visit. But as I said before, it should be every 6 weeks. So here you type between the visits, weeks between visits are 6. So every 6 weeks, there will be a visit on Tuesday. So this is Dutch for Tuesday. And the begin date is the 1st of January and the end date is the 31st of December. So this is a visit for mouse inspections every 6 weeks on Tuesday between the 1st of January. I will tell you now that the first visit will be 6 weeks after the 1st of January. Okay, so this has already been created. I will now go to a new customer, another test customer. So test customer, and I will now together with you create a service. So this is test customer. It has 3 locations. Location 1, 2, and 3. I will now open location 1, go to contract, go to services, and it's still empty as you can see. So I click add new service. I give it a header. Mouse inspection. I give it a root code A. Inspect. It's always me that does all the work. Start time 10 o'clock. Duration 60 minutes. That's it. And I will do the mouse inspections monthly. So here I choose monthly. Oh, this is weekly, monthly. Okay, so here are some options. I can say every nth day of the month, for example, the 2nd day of the month. Or I can choose a specific day of the month. The first, for example, the first Monday. And you can choose any day of the week of each month, and it will be monthly. So I type 1. Remember, with the 6 weekly visits, I type 6 here, because then there will be 6 weeks between 2 visits. I will now type 1. There will be 1 month between 2 visits. Starting 1st of January, that's almost always, I click and it empties. That was unexpected for me. And it ends on the 31st of December. So now I click Save All at the bottom. Maybe you have to scroll down a bit to find the long button here. There we go. And now you can collapse it. So here's the mice inspection. I will add a 2nd visit. I will now go a little bit faster. You can later view the video and see it another time, and you can pause the video whenever you like. Fly lamp inspections. Also the same route is replace glue board inspect tube. And let's start at 10 o'clock. No, at 11 o'clock, because the mice inspection starts at 10. So this one will start at 11. It only takes 30 minutes because there are only 2 fly lamps at this location, for example. So let us also do that on the first Monday of the month, but only 4 times a year. So I type quarterly, only 4 times a year. So the mice are every month, but the fly lamps only quarterly, but I have to choose monthly. There is no quarterly. Also on the first Monday, but there will be 3 months between the visits. This is very important. To make it quarterly, you just type 3 here, and it will be every 3rd month of the year. As promised, I'll go a little bit faster. And let's add a last one, and that will be an audit, add new service, general audit, same root code, audit, inspection, whatever. You are the professionals, you know what to type. So let's also combine that when it happens with the mice and the fly lamps. So mice is from 10 to 11, fly lamps is from 11 to 11:30. So let's get started at 11:30, but the audit's 11:30. Yeah, it will take 2 hours. And it will be only once a year. So I type annually here. We don't have annually here, so I choose monthly. Also the first Monday, and there will be 12 months between visits. Okay, so what I've done now is for this one visit location, for this one visit site, I've created 3 services. So in the old world, in the old planning tools in Pescan, you could create only 1 using the old planning button here. Now you can create 3. So what I've now done is I've just defined how many visits I want. The visits are not in the calendar yet. We have not created any work orders yet. The work orders are not existing. Technicians will not see anything yet. That's the same as before. So before you had to hit this button here at the bottom, do now to create it for the whole year or for the next year. This is now a little bit different going to these services. After setting this up for all your customers, which is quite a bit of work, I'm aware of it, you go to plan work here. The plan work here, oh, it's logging me off. We know there's a little problem sometimes that you are logged off, especially in Google Chrome. That's another issue we're working on. So I now go to create planning here, and create planning. I'm going too fast. There's more I want to say. So this is the new planning page. We have changed it a little bit to make it easier to understand. But everything we change to make it easier is in the beginning, of course, a little bit more difficult for you because you are used to the old situation, which was more difficult for new users. But when you are used to a more difficult situation, you have to learn the new world. At least that's how it works for me. So all the buttons are now in one page. So this is Create Planning Alt here, the second button from the right. Create Planning Alt. It will take you to the old tools, and here's Create Planning, the new world. We will leave the old world for a little while until everybody's comfortable. I will now go to the new Create Planning. So here is where you create planning sets. Now, what is a planning set? A planning set is a group of customer locations that you want to combine, maybe because they have the same root code. You want to combine all the customer locations across your customer database that have the same root code or postal code, zip code, if you like. So I can create a new planning set now, and I will call it a planning set for whatever you like. You can here find customers that apply. You can find by a customer name, for example, or you can use root code to filter. Okay, and you see what's happening now. When I filter for root code A, it finds my London Foods. That was the first demonstration I gave to you. Do you remember? The visit every 6 weeks and the test customer location A, the 12 mouth inspections, the 4 fly lamp inspections, and the general audit. So here all your customer locations will show up that have valid planning data. Let me add all of them, why not? Make it interesting, and you will see what happens. So this is a new extra step, but it gives you full flexibility. I will now go to the year 2023, because that's a new and clean year. I click Save and Next. What am I saving? I'm saving the planning set. I'm still not saving any visits or work orders in the system. Let me click it. What do we have now? We have a preview. This page is called the planning preview. Let us start with the London Foods, the visit every 6 weeks. It's showing up here, the mouse inspection every 6 weeks. And you can here see the visits for next year. And you can hover over the bullets and you can see the date. And as you can see, it's always on a Tuesday. If you don't like the 7th of February for any reason, you can drag it and choose a different date manually. So you can accept the defaults that it has made for you, or you can now make some manual changes. When you have made a manual change, the bullet changes to a box, to a, what's the word? I'm forgetting the word, a box. Let's now go to location aim, test customer location aim. So we have the 12 mouth inspections, the 4 fly-lab inspections every quarter, and the general audit once a year. Look what's happening now. So we have on the 2nd of January, we have a mouse inspection, and I said before it would be the first Monday. Let me check if that's correct. Let me go to the calendar in Windows. January, and yes, the 2nd of January is the first Monday of January. So that's correct. And the fly-lab and the general audits, they are all on the same day. So maybe for some reason you don't want the general audit in January, you want to move it to February, you can do it, move it to February. But oh, maybe not, you want to move it to the same date as the mouse inspection. So you can, as you see, when I hit the same date, the bullet for mouse inspection, the circle, also changes blue. I hope you can see it. The colors are a bit similar. So it will snap to the same date. So you know for sure that these 2 visits are on the same day. That's important because, of course, you don't want to drive there twice. You want to drive there once. Color is green. What do the colors signify? When you hover over the eye in the right top here, the colors will be explained. So green is the inspection visit type. When you are happy, you can click the generate button here in the bottom. And when I click generate, only then will the visits be put in the calendar. Let's do it now. Generate, and I click OK. And now it says the changes have been saved. Let's see if this is true. So I go back to customers, I go to the test customer, here's the test customer, I go to location 1, sorry for my speed, and I go to work orders, and let me focus on the next year, that's 2023 already, how time flies. Oh, it's 25. So let's see what happens here. So should be, the visit should be here. Let me see. Let's see a number of visits. I don't see all the data. Okay. I just wonder why I'm missing some data here. Okay, never mind. Let's leave that this. I don't want to confuse you. I will come back to this later. Let me now give you another example. I go back. Let me go back all the way to planning set. So this is a planning set I just created. I open it again. Here are the selected items. Before I showed you the planning for 2023, I will now go to 2022. And when I now click Save and Next, you will see that a lot of it is now kind of pink colored. I think this color is called salmon. It's a different color. You can see a blue line at the end of July. That is the current date. So it will never create any visits before the current date. That will not happen. So a visit will never be created before today. That makes sense. You cannot visit a customer in the past. You can see the meaning of the color here. So pink or salmon is the period before the last planned visit also. And that's the other reason, because there are already visits in the future. This tool will never create visits before the last visit. Okay, so if there is a visit for January next year, this tool will never create a visit before that time. Why not? Because it is protecting you from creating the planning twice for the same customer, because then you would have double visits for a customer, and that's not convenient. Let me go back to the overview here. So here we have just one planning set that has been created. The good news is you can use it again every year. So every year you can use the same planning set. You can click it, open it, go to Save and Next, or even more conveniently, you can check it here and you can create it from here. And you click Generate. If you have not one but 10 planning sets, so maybe you have 500 customers, you have divided them in 10 planning sets here, it's possible to generate the planning for all 10 planning sets. And the 10 planning sets represent your 500 customers. You check all the planning sets here from top to bottom, and you here click the Generate button here at the end, and it will generate the planning for all of them. So with one button click, it will create the visits in the calendar for all of your customers. So, short summary, after setting up your services, that's step one, one-time action, and setting up the planning sets here, it's also quite some work, I'm aware of it. Then you are done for the next year, because the next year you just select all here and you click Generate, and it will create the planning for the entire year. And of course, after creating the planning set, you can make modifications. Please do feel free to ask questions in the chat. I was thinking why they were not showing up here, the work orders, but I think I gave the answer myself while continuing just now. There were already visits for this customer in the future, so that's why it was not creating new visits in the future. So I should delete all of them first, and then it should work. Well, maybe you can think of some questions at the moment. I will now clean the calendar here and try again. So I'm cleaning out both customers. No visits left. And try once again for 2023, generate. And there we go. And now we see all the visits here appearing. And for the test customer, there's also a list of visits coming here in the calendar. Okay. So I don't see any questions now. I want to repeat my invitation to send your feedback. You can do that in the chat while we're still online in this meeting, or please do send us an email with your suggestions, or maybe if you're not happy, let us know so we can learn from what is not working for you. So we already have a short list with about 4 or 5 different things that we want to improve to make it even easier. So please let us know any wishes and comments you might have. Also let us know if there's something in the old planning tools that you're really happy with and that you definitely don't want to miss, so we can perhaps decide to also integrate it in the new tools. So I still don't see any questions coming in. If you want to...
But for me, there is one question. I'm Lambert from the the company Abattoir in Belgium, and I want to know if in the future it will be possible to see the calendar that you've got before and changing the date of the order mission, because in all there is something that for me you don't understand, because we work with so many customer difference and maybe for example restaurants, and there is some days they are not open and we have to change every time the day of our planification, and it's not possible to say that we go to a customer every first day of the month. It's completely useless because our customers are not open on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of work who are not done at the time that was scheduled. So before it was very easy to change in the calendar the date and the things. I understand that the modification that you have done are very good, because we have 3 articles that we can put, for example, the mice, the lamp, and it is very good. But after that, it's very, very complicated and useless to have, for example, the rest is, for me, is it's not possible to schedule the day of the month for my workers are sure to be there. Very.
Yeah, I see. Thank you for explaining, Lambert. So do you mean that every month it will be different when a hotel is open? There will be a different day every month?
Yeah, because there is it's not possible for my workers for example, now it's the vacancy. There is some restaurants who are closed. There is some customers who are closed. Yeah. And before I take one order of mission and I deplace in the calendar, and it was very, very easy.
Yes.
No, I don't know, and more than that, there is a button in the calendar. Then when you push on it, every order of mission are on the same basis décalage. There is a décalage on every. That's how it was very easy to change, because our customers are very difficult to find sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, in the calendar you can still move the dates. Let me show you, because they will be easier to understand each other. So I'm sharing again. So when we go to the calendar, it is still possible to move visits. Like here on the 21st, I can still move it to a different date. But when a work order, order de mission en français, when you want to move this one, it's not working because it has been completed. So you can only move the unfulfilled. Yeah.
And when you put on the button apply to the order of mission, everything is decaled. There is a.
Are you referring to this option here?
Yes. Yeah. This option will stay. I hope
it will stay. Yes, definitely. Okay. Yeah. So for those of you that don't use this option or that don't know this option, this is the one that Mr. Benoit is referring to. Apply date leads to future work orders too. It means that when you move this one day ahead, other visits for this location will also move ahead. So maybe in the next month or 2 months from now. Yeah. So they will all move up by 1 day. So this will stay, Lambert.
Okay. And I've got another question, because I don't use the route.
Yeah.
I don't use the route because I have done like that since the beginning, and so it's possible not using the route in new. Of course.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Don't worry. So I was showing here how you can filter by route and create planning. Let me see. And here you can use the route for searching, but you can also not use the routes and just use a search string.
Okay.
A customer name. Yeah.
Okay. And the planning set for route A, for example, why can I have no So I have no route, so I can make a general planification or something like that.
Yeah, you can use different ways. Last week we also had a webinar about this topic in another language, and somebody said they will create a planning set per day, one for Monday, one for Tuesday, one for Wednesday.
Yeah.
They have one technician, and on Monday he's going this direction, on Tuesday he's going that direction. Everybody works in a different way.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we hope to support as many ways as you all work. But
yeah, and the old planification will stay for how much time?
I cannot say. Say. Yeah, but we will be in contact about it. Yeah.
Okay, and the last, because I took too much time for you, but
That's okay.
there is a big lake in your application, because for me the lake since the beginning is that when a planification is finished for a customer, there is not red button who is light up. So sometimes I forget to planificate. I forget to that one planification is ended, but the customer is still with me. So it's for that I ask to your company a list of all my customer with all the end date of the contract and the planification. For me, in the future, it will be good having a reminder for one customer who's got no planification anymore.
Because you don't want to miss visits.
Yeah, I don't want to miss visits, because, for example, at the beginning that I work with you, a planification only per year. No, I do the planification per 2 years, but I know that in the next year I have to do a lot of planification. So, but I asked to your company the list, but I think that it will be great to have this on an automatically way. When our planification is ended for a customer, what light button or mail or something like that to bring our attention.
I totally agree, and I really appreciate your input, Lambert. So please do keep on sending us complaints, wishes, because that will help us to keep sharp. We do have a report that you can help to. It should be somewhere.
Okay.
I'm not sure where, but I have already put on my list of improvements to add a report that will very clearly show you the visits that should have been planned and the visits that have been put into the calendar. So you can see the difference. There should be 12 visits, but no visits have been done or planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. It will take us a little time, because that's not a small thing to make, but it's definitely on our list. And you're not alone. Many people are asking the same thing.
Perfect. Yeah. And I will call you back to have more information about the non-tox box connected, to have maybe it will be useful for my company to have this model too. So I will call you back.
That's fine. That's
in
fine.
the month. Okay.
Yeah, we will wait for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye. Any more questions? Anybody? Okay. I can see there are no more questions now. I really want to thank you all for attending and for your interest in PESCAN and this specific feature. So within a few days, you will get a link to the recording, so you can watch it another time, and you can pause it wherever you like and test it out yourself in the program. And okay, so I wish you a very good evening, you all, and thanks again. Bye-bye.